Senshi immediately refused. Kakuzu, what nonsense are you talking about? Me, acting leader? I'm no good at administration. Remember. I'll just spearhead the formation of the alliance, and Nagato will serve as its leader. You and Konan can be acting leaders or rotating leaders, helping him manage day-to-day operations. You've both done a great job with Omegakure so far, so you'll surely do just as well running the alliance. That's how the ninja world can truly embrace peace and develop further. Konan mulled it over, then said with a gentle smile, no objections from me. Kakuzu, however, was reluctant. I want to keep grinding missions, I don't have time to run a ninja alliance. Senshi just grinned. Kakuzu, how much can you earn from mission running alone, working yourself to death? Once the alliance is formed, we can pay you a top-tier salary. You'll definitely earn more than you do now. Plus, Teehee Alliance can hire you through formal commissions, so you don't even have to go looking for missions anymore. Kakuzu, surprised face. That argument made Kakuzu think. He and his little assistant had been running all over the ninja world, taking on missions and non-stop, and it was definitely exhausting. If working for the alliance could bring in more money than solo missions, it was hard to see a downside. So Kakuzu nodded. If that's how it's going to be, I have no objection. With Konan and Kakuzu on board, Nagato said, I can agree to this, but I have one request. Senshi replied offhandedly, sure, Nagato bro. What is it? Nagato straightened up. Once the Ninja Alliance is formed, we have to do whatever it takes to bring Yahiko back to life. Konan's body trembled at that, feeling powerfully moved. She knew how deeply Nagato valued Yahiko and his friendship, but she hadn't realized just how deeply. It nearly made her want to cry. But then Nagato added something that almost made her want to punch him. After thinking it over, I believe Yahiko is the best choice to lead the alliance. His dream was always for the ninja world to achieve peace and prosperity. If we resurrect him, he'd dedicate himself completely to the alliance's management, guiding the ninja world toward more and more growth. Senshi, unreserved, praised him. Nagato bro, you really are Yahiko's true friend, planning his whole post-resurrection career for him. But yes, it's doable, just commission me when you're ready. Nagato's reminder gave Sensei a rather interesting idea. He could potentially bring back other older figures from the ninja world to continue contributing. He could let White Zetsu be the sacrifice for the Edo Tensei, resurrecting any number of old-timers who'd passed away, so the Y could keep helping the living world. Then, once he unlocked the advanced draw and secured multiple Rinnegan, he could move to Phase 2, using the Rhine Rebirth Jutsu to free those resurrected people from Edo Tensei and bring them back to life as flesh and blood humans. Senshi figured this was a pretty good plan, calling it a perfect ninja world project. Essentially, with his system's cheats, he could remedy all sorts of regrets, promoting the ninja world's growth. Moreover, he could pitch it to Kagaya Tsutsuki and Black Zetsu. Kagaya was effectively a traitor to her own clan and would inevitably be hunted by them. For her own safety, she might need to arm the ninja world to fight back. Previously, she'd tried to create a White Zetsu army, but that obviously wouldn't be much use in battling the full might of the Tsutsuki clan. But a plan that turned the entire ninja world into a real fighting force? That would actually help Kagaya. With her support, Black Zetsu would naturally give his all to make it happen. Picturing it all, Senshi couldn't help but clap his thigh. This was genius. And hey, maybe they could Edo Tensei Rin no Hara, too, so she could see what Obito had been up to since her death. As the Perfect Ninja World project unfolded, sinners like Obito could be briefly Edo Tensei forced to atone by working to rebuild the ninja world. Konan, Kakuzu, and even Nagato could tell Senshi was feeling quite smug. Seeing the grin on his face, which was arguably harder to suppress than an axe recoil, Konan asked. Senshi, what are you thinking about? He waved her off. It's nothing, Konan. You guys just get the ball rolling for the alliance. I'll go talk to the rest of the world and see if they're willing to join. Konan assumed Senshi was just amused by something, and since he wouldn't elaborate, she didn't push. Besides, she felt pretty happy herself. Senshi had confirmed that Yahiko could be resurrected. Difficult though it might be. All right, she said. We'll handle things here in Omegakure. I have to do the legwork of contacting the various hidden villages. Senshi answered cheerfully. No problem, just a few words here and there. He wasn't bluffing. He had wood-style clones stationed all across the ninja world, so he didn't even need to go in person. After ordering them to spread the word about forming a ninja alliance, the rumor hit the world like a series of massive bombs. Before long, the entire shinobi world was in an uproar. A ninja alliance, led by Senshi and Omegakure, whose goal was to maintain peace and promote overall development. This was something most civilians and many ninja had only dreamed of. And because it was backed by Senshi, the single strongest ninja in the current era, and Omegakure, arguably the strongest hidden village overall, there was a genuine chance of success. If anyone else had proposed it, the 5 great nations likely would have just scoffed. But Senshi and Omegakure? That demanded a serious response. Indeed, the high commands of the 5 great nations all gathered in their respective offices to debate what to do. Land of Lightning, Kumigakure Raikage's office. All of Kumigakure's top officials met in the Raikage's office. The 4th Raikage surveyed them. Darui, what do you think? Darui frowned. This is a serious matter. If we handle it poorly, we could find ourselves in a dangerous position. The second Jinkriki of the 2 tails, Ijito, interjected, what's there to consider? Isn't it a good thing if the ninja world achieves peace and development? Don't most civilians and shinobi desire that? Samui furrowed her brow. You're not wrong, Lady Ijito, but we still need to figure out how Kumigakure can benefit the most from it. Darui nodded in agreement. Exactly. The alliance is probably unstoppable given it's led by Senshi and Omegakure, but we need to think carefully about how Kumigakure can maximize its gains in the process. After everyone spoke, the 4th Raikage said. So, everyone here basically agrees to join the alliance. We just need to figure out the best way to leverage it for Kumigakure's advantage. When he asked that, Darui, Samui, and the others all nodded. Considering that Senshi was the mightiest ninja and Omegakure arguably the mightiest village, there wasn't much choice to him. The big question was how best to profit from it. In principle, Kumigakure had decided to join, only the details remained to be worked out. Land of Earth, Iwagakure Tsuchikage's office. Inside his office, Noki slammed a palm on his desk, clearly upset. He was ranting, this is too much. They've gone too far. Though he didn't name names, everyone present knew who he meant. Noki was notorious for being ruthless to help Iwagakure grow, and he bore grudges against both Kirigakure and other villages. Once a formal alliance was in place, he wouldn't be able to exact revenge. Even so, Iwagakure couldn't exactly oppose it. Seeing her grandfather blustering, Kuratsuka could only try to soothe him. Grandpa, don't be mad. Forming a ninja alliance isn't necessarily bad. Plus, didn't Lord Senshi's wood-style clone mention this so-called perfect ninja world project as well? At that, the others in the Tsuchikage office traded odd looks. Senshi's explanation of the perfect Ninja World project had been sketchy high at best, but even the small amount of information he'd divulged was jaw-dropping. Supposedly, with the right combination of jutsu and technology, one could even bring the dead back from the Pure Land. Forming the alliance would pave the way for this powerful new global system. Land of Fire Konoha Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat there puffing his pipe, his expression slightly distant. Others might not know the scope of Senshi's abilities, but he did. If Senshi decided to form an alliance, it was basically a done deal. And if Senshi said he would implement a perfect Ninja World project, he'd probably do that too. Meaning it might not be long before Hiruzen would see many long-gone faces like Minato, Namikaze, Kushina Uzumaki, or even his own T-shares, Hashirama and Tobirama. People such as Sakumo Hatake, the White Fang, who died before his time, might also be revived under Senshi's plan. But not everyone believed in the plan. Reviving any deceased person was extraordinary enough, let alone bring ENG back everyone. Even if it was a proposal from Senshi, who was recognized throughout the ninja world as supremely powerful, many doubted he could truly pull it off. Of course, Senshi actually wanted that skepticism. He didn't want Madara and Obito to think, well, if a perfect world is coming, there's no need for the Eye of the Moon plan. That would kill his chances of making money from them. Hence why he leaked only vague hints. Believe it or not, that was up to the masses. Even some of Konoha's senior CO Unshilors, Mito Kato Homura and Koharu Yudatan, didn't believe in any perfect ninja world. Sighing, Homura commented, Senshi's perfect world plan is just a lovely idea. Unlikely to ever materialize. But at least it gives people some hope. What really matters is his Ninja Alliance proposal, and Konoha certainly should join. Koharu agreed. I think so too. While the perfect world plan may be unrealistic, it's still worthwhile for us to be part of the alliance. They'd barely finished when Hiruzen nodded. Then it's settled. We'll inform Senshi that Konoha will join. Land of Wind Tsunagakure Kazekage's office. Raza and the senior staff of Tsunagakure were in notably high spirits. For once, a good opportunity had come along that didn't cost them money. Ebis was grinning ear to ear. We definitely should join the alliance. With that in place, the sand can save money in so many areas. Lady Cho agreed. Once the alliance's peacekeeping force sets up a branch here, they can handle much of our security. Raza, smiling as well, added, that'll free up a large chunk of our budget to put into puppet research. As long as we maintain our technical edge and keep the core of our puppet technology secret, we can teach or sell some aspects of it externally. If Orochimaru had been here, he might have ended up forging a true bromance with Raza out of sheer exasperation. After all, when he visited Tsunagakure, he'd barely gotten anything in return. And now they were set to copy his homework to earn money. Land of Mist Kirigakure Mizukage's office. Unlike the jubilant atmosphere in Tsunagakure, Kirigakure's mood was heavier. They were aware of just how capable Senshi was and how extensively they'd already worked with him. Though they didn't believe he could truly achieve a perfect world by resurrecting all the dead. Most of their leaders Genji and Maitaram included felt he could partially accomplish it. Maybe some people could be resurrected, even if not everyone. That left the village with a thorny conc urn. Kirigakure was once known as the Bloody Mist, and most of the deceased from those days were anything but saints. After a long silence, the ancient-sounding voice of Genji spoke. Let's join the alliance too. Kirigakure might also take part in the Perfect World plan. With Lord Senshi's help and the deterrent effect of the alliance peacekeeping force, there's no chance we'll ever revert to the bloody mist again. When he finished, Ao frowned. What if the fourth Mizukage, Lord Yagura, is among those revived? How do we handle that? At that question, Maitaram and the others showed complicated expressions. Yagura's tenure was a colossal failure. If the third Raikage came back, the current Raikage and Killer Bee would celebrate. The same for other villages and their legendary dead, like Mu of Iwa, the third Kazekage of Suna, the fourth Hokage Minato, or the second Hokage Tobirama. Their villages would want them back. But the fourth Mizukage Yagura was a grim exception. Nobody in Kirigakure was eager for his return, not after his oppressive rule turned the village into the blood mist. Finally, Mei decided. All right, Kirigakure will join the alliance, but we need to have a talk with Senshi about the bloody mist faction. In short, all 5 great nations agreed in principle to join. For the smaller nations and lesser shinobi villages, membership was even more attractive. They were the first to sign up, hoping the alliance would protect them from being trampled during future conflicts. Land of Earth's black market. Word of the alliance and Senshi's perfect world idea also reached Madara and Obito, who greeted it with contempt. Madara scoffed, Senshi might be stronger than that brat Hashirama, but he's just as naive. He thinks something like it will bring peace and development to the ninja world? Ridiculous. Even the Uchiha clan and the other founding clans in Konoha never found real harmony after the village was formed. That's why I walked away when they kept ostracizing us. If that couldn't be resolved in a single village, how could the entire ninja world manage it? To Madara, only the Eye of the Moon plan could bring true and lasting peace. Obito nodded. Sure, maybe Senshi can leverage his enormous power to form an alliance, but after he dies in a century or two, the whole thing will break down. As for the perfect world he's talking about? Impossible. The only way to resurrect the dead is through the Rin Tensei technique with the Rinnegan, and even that can cost the caster's life. And if the deceased do come back, there's no guarantee they won't just be killed again in this world. So, like Madara, Obito believed that true salvation lay only in the infinite Tsukuyomi. His infinite Tsukuyomi, in particular. Dismissing Senshi's proposals, they returned to their mission grinding with lighter hearts. After all, even the invincible Senshi couldn't pull off everything, while they could do something he couldn't guarantee perpetual bliss for the shinobi world, or so they believed. Land of Fire's black market. On the other side of the world, Jiraiya was sitting in a small restaurant with Naruto and Sasuke. He looked like he had a headache. In his view, it might be worthwhile to resurrect Nawaka, but Dan? That was a different story. Despite rarely returning to Konoha these days, Jiraiya stayed well informed, and he was aware Tsunade had returned to the village. He had always liked Tsunade, even if she didn't feel the same, which meant he definitely didn't want Dan wandering around, revived. Should I go talk to Senshi and commission him, on the sly, to keep Dan dead? Jiraiya wondered. The more he thought about it, the more he felt he should. But he also worried that maybe Senshi was just bluffing again about this perfect world stuff. If it was impossible, Jiraiya would be exposing himself for no reason. And if the plan was real, and everyone else's loved ones got brought back except Dan, Tsunade might eventually find out. Someone had interfered, someone who didn't want Dan resurrected. Patreon.com/Bleem. This fanfic is completed in Patreon. Chapter 207, Chapter 207, Shinobi United Nations First Conference Meeting. While the various countries of the ninja world were enthusiastically discussing the formation of the Shinobi Alliance, Omegakure was converting one of its buildings into the alliance's headquarters. This process wasn't very complicated. Ever since Omegakure allied with Kyuzagakure, its development had been skyrocketing, with high-rise buildings springing up all over. Though some unrest had broken out not long ago, Omegakure had largely repaired that damage. This time, Konan selected a building near the village's center to serve as the Shinobi Alliance HQ. Once the Alliance HQ renovation was completed, representatives from various villages began arriving, not only from hidden villages big and small but also from every kind of ninja faction. Since the Land of Rivers, Kyuzagakure, and other nearby forces were closest to Omegakure, their representatives showed up first. Omegakure Shinobi Alliance Headquarters Circular Conference Hall. Senshi, Konan, Nagato, and Kakuzu were already there. After looking around the circular hall, Konan asked, "Will we be holding a lengthy meeting this time to finalize the Alliance's various articles and bylaws?" Of course, she directed the question at Senshi, since it was originally his idea to form the Alliance. Senshi thought for a moment, then shook his head. "Konan, let's just accomplish 3 things this time. First, get all parties to reach a consensus on embracing peace and pursuing development together. Second, appoint the Akatsuki as the Alliance's peacekeeping force, with branches in every region. Third, establish the Shinobi Alliance as a fair and impartial organization that maintains PCE and prepares us for the upcoming era of a perfect ninja world." He had mentioned these 3 points before. But as soon as he mentioned the perfect ninja world, Nagato voiced the doubts in his mind. "From what I know, the only technique that can truly bring the dead back is the Rein Rebirth Jutsu of the Rinnegan. That technique consumes a huge amount of life force. Is it really possible to resurrect everyone who's died since the first Great Ninja War?" If even Nagato was skeptical, it stood to reason that others in the ninja world would be, too. As soon as Nagato asked, both Konan and Kakuzu turned to look at Senshi. Senshi answered casually, "It won't be easy, sure, but my plan is to do it in 2 stages. Stage 1 involves using Edo Tensei to bring back the dead in a special form. Then, once we have enough Rinnegan and enough people who can use them, we'll resurrect those individuals for real." That's what Senshi said out loud, but it wasn't necessarily his true plan. Once he unlocked the advanced DRAW feature, he might discover other ways to resurrect people, not just Rein Rebirth. But at the moment, that was something he couldn't prove or explain to Nagato and the others, so he laid out the 2-stage master plan. After hearing this, Konan remarked, "Since many deceased ninja might return, the Alliance will need to decide which people to revive first, and also figure out how to preserve order in the ninja world. Is that right?" Senshi nodded slightly. "Exactly. For now, let's get our last-minute prep done, then wait for the 5 Kage and the heads of other factions to arrive in Omegakure for the big meeting." None of the others had any objections, so the 4 of them busied themselves making final arrangements for the Alliance's inaugural conference. Meanwhile, in Konoha, Tsunade had smoothly taken up her new position as head of Konoha's medical department. Her Shared Summoning Beast project and the Flying Rain Terrace Sake project were both moving full steam ahead. In contrast to Orochimaru's Eternal Chakra elixir, which was expensive, with limited supply, the new Flying Rain Terrace Health Sake was also pricey, but still within reach for a fairly wide audience. Tsunade priced it at 1 million RY a bottle. Selling 100 bottles would net 100 million RY in revenue, while the production cost was only 50 million. Upon returning to Konoha from their business travels around the ninja world, Orochimaru and Kabuto noticed that something seemed off. Orochimaru frowned. "We've run into quite a few ninja possessing slug summon beasts, haven't we?" Kabuto was puzzled. "Lord Orochimaru, how could that be?" Signing a summoning contract with the Slug Sage of Shikotsu Forest is supposed to be extremely difficult. Orochimaru agreed. Yes, forging a contract with Lady Katsuyu isn't easy. But I suspect those ninja didn't truly sign a summoning contract. They must be carrying the slugs around by some other means and using them for healing when they get hurt. No doubt Tsunade is behind this. I never expected that besides booze and gambling, she'd be interested in anything else. He still didn't realize how serious this was, or else he wouldn't be in the mood to poke fun at Tsunade. Shortly thereafter, they arrived at Konoha's root base. When they got there, a root elite who'd stayed behind a Barame Torun immediately came over to make his report. Lord Orochimaru, while you and Kabuto were away, something happened in the village that might affect you. Orochimaru asked with a frown, what happened? All eyes Kabuto, a Barame Tatsuma, etc. fell on a Barame Torun. Choosing his words carefully, Torun explained, Lady Tsunade proposed a shared summoning beast concept. Now anyone can rent a slug from her for healing. She seals them into portable scrolls, so if a ninja is injured on a mission, they can call upon the slug's healing. When Torun finished, Orochimaru couldn't help but feel a twinge of surprise. Now he understood why he'd seen slugs around. Apparently, Tsunade had somehow persuaded Lady Katsuyu to cooperate with her in a money-making venture. As Torun had noted, if someone has a slug's healing on the spot, they may never be pushed close to death, which in turn means they might not need blacklight life restart. Still, Orochimaru figured Tsunade alone wasn't that forward-thinking. There was only one person in the entire ninja world who'd give Tsunade the idea of shared economy and provide the necessary chakra, Uzumaki Senshi. Tsunade must have teamed up with Senshi, letting her boost her total chakra so she could summon that many slugs. He found the Tsunade Senshi collaboration a bit troubling. But if it was limited to just shared slug summoning, it wouldn't cut too deeply into his business. However, he soon realized he was being overly optimistic because Torun continued with a second piece of news. In addition to the shared summoning project, Lady Tsunade also launched a Flying Rain Terrace health sake product. It's widely said to boost one's health and well-being and is currently selling like crazy. Here's a promotional leaflet. Please take a look. As Torun handed Orochimaru the flyer, Kabuto schemed it too, both ending up with odd expressions. Orochimaru, surprised face. Kabuto, surprised face. From Orochimaru's perspective, Tsunade's shared slug project only threatened his black light technology a little. But the new health sake might be a direct attack on his market. His eternal chakra elixir worked by revitalizing a shinobi's cells, especially older ones, gradually restoring them to a more youthful state. Meanwhile, Tsunade's new brew, thanks to added hero water, senzu beans allegedly from the Sage of Six Paths, and other premium materials had properties reminiscent of his elixir. Outraged, Orochimaru spat, unbelievable. We leave the village to expand business, and Tsunade is sneaking around behind our backs, poaching our market. Kabuto frowned. So what do we do now, Lord Orochimaru? Up to this point, Orochimaru's group had enjoyed a near-complete monopoly with the Eternal Elixir and the Blackly GHT Life Restart technique. But Tsunade's two new ventures were starting to undermine their business advantage. Just then, one of Senshi's wood-style clones appeared. Orochimaru felt annoyed. He couldn't dictate who Senshi collaborated with, of course, but working with Tsunade was definitely hurting his bottom line. Noting Orochimaru's displeasure, Senshi spoke with a chuckle. Snake bro, keep an open mind, focus on growth opportunities. Humph, Orochimaru retorted, a sinister smile on his face. Senshi didn't mind his attitude and continued. By the way, have you heard about my idea to form the Shinobi Alliance and to push a perfect ninja world plan? Sure, I've heard, but what's it got to do with me? Orochimaru asked. Both he and Kabuto were well aware of the rumor spreading across the land, but they didn't see how it directly involved them. Quite a lot, actually, Senshi said casually. That perfect ninja world plan includes reviving fallen ninja from the past. Orochimaru frowned. Isn't that just a fantasy you're spinning for everyone? He was no fool. As a man deeply versed in science and forbidden jutsu, Orochimaru knew all too well the difficulty of reviving the dead. But Senshi responded with complete seriousness, man, prejudice is truly a tall mountain in our minds. I assure you this isn't some fairy tale. Achieving it won't be easy, but it's definitely possible. Orochimaru, surprised face, Kabuto, surprised face. They knew Senshi was immensely capable, but they never expected him to be this serious, maybe even more serious than usual. Orochimaru asked, so how exactly do you plan to bring them back? And once they're back, how do we avoid triggering the Fourth Great Ninja War? It wasn't that Orochimaru had suddenly developed a passion for peace, but war would sap resources that could otherwise be invested in his research. Senshi slung an arm around Orochimaru's shoulder. Snake bro, you're sharp, as expected. The plan is twofold. First, we'll use white zetsu as sacrifices for Edo Tensei, letting the dead walk again in a special form. Then, if they behave well and contribute to the world, they'll be permanently resurrected via the Rhine rebirth jutsu. As for preventing a fourth great ninja war, that's the job of the Shinobi Alliance. This time, Orochimaru understood. Senshi wanted to restructure the Shinobi world into an unprecedentedly powerful system, something that would clearly boost his own scientific research. Even more exciting was that Orochimaru saw a chance to make money. White zetsu was currently expensive. If he could develop the tech to mass produce them cheaply, he'd hold a valuable business advantage. Similarly, he could upgrade the Edo Tensei techniques so that everyone could be revived more effectively. Both projects promised huge returns. He didn't realize that he and Kabuto were perfectly suited for this. Back in canon, Kabuto had indeed used Edo Tensei to resurrect dead ninja for the Fourth Great War, albeit for different reasons. After hearing Senshi's explanation, Orochimaru spoke up decisively, Senshi, I fully support the alliance and your perfect ninja world plan. I'll research mass-producing white zetsu and improving Edo Tensei to provide the technical support you need. Senshi gently corrected him, not my plan, Snake bro, the alliance's plan. We're not charging each other money. We'll keep working together as before, but our real market is the rest of the ninja world. While Senshi's wood-style clone hashed things out with Orochimaru, other clones were holding similar discussions with Tsunade, Sasori, and more. For example, Tsunade might also figure out how to mass cultivate white zetsu, and Sasori might promote the idea of a mechanical ascension. After all, even if the dead were resurrected, they could still die again someday unless they had immortality like Haiden or a puppet body like Sasori. As the clones bustled around, the 5 Kage and many other faction leaders arrived in Omegakure. A meeting far grander than any 5 Kage summit was about to begin in a few days. Time flew by, in just a flash, those few days passed. Omegakure Shinobi Alliance HQ Circular Conference Hall. Senshi, Nagato, and the others had taken their seats. The third Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Tsuchikage Noki, the fifth Mizukage Meiterum, the fourth Kazekage Raza, and the fourth Raikage were all seated in their places. The leaders of countless other large and small factions also arrived. Once everyone was present, Senshi stood up and said, as the initiator of the alliance and the Perfect Ninja W World Plan, I'll be chairing the alliance's first ever conference. The moment he finished, Karin, Uzumaki Musen, and a handful of others leapt to their feet, applauding loudly. Following their lead, many Omegakure ninjas rose to applaud as well. Senshi, O_O. He couldn't help a small wry thought, am I about to give a 30-minute speech, getting interrupted by applause 100 times? But joking aside, he went right on with business. He addressed the crowd again, my Wood-style clones have already had preliminary talks with all of you about forming the alliance. Now, if anyone has questions regarding the alliance or the Perfect Ninja World Plan, feel free to ask. The moment he paused, Karin and Musen popped right back up and started clapping again. This time, more people joined in the applause. After all, the alliance would bring real benefits to many villages and factions. Once the clapping died down, the third Tsuchikage Noki was the first to speak. If we form a shinobi alliance, will each village still manage its own affairs, or will the alliance handle them? Without hesitation, Senshi replied, each village will manage its own affairs. The alliance's main role is to maintain peace and promote resource sharing so the whole ninja world can trade and cooperate. When Noki's question was answered, Iwagakure's Four Tails Jinkriki Arshi stood up. So once the alliance is in place, the Akatsuki will serve as the peacekeeping force, stationed everywhere to keep order. If, for example, Iwagakure experiences a violent incident, does the village's internal police force handle it, or does Akatsuki's local branch handle it? Senshi answered again, usually the village police handle it. Only if they can't manage would the village request help from the alliance. Then the alliance would convene an emergency meeting and assign the Akatsuki branch in that village to a peacekeeping mission. No sooner had he finished than Karin and Musen again sprang up clapping, this time with more people joining in. Indeed, many smaller countries and factions welcomed the concept, while bigger, more powerful factions had noticeable frowns. Still, none of the 5 great villages openly opposed it. They had their reasons. 1. Senshi and Omegakure were too strong to openly defy. 2. The alliance was an unstoppable trend toward progress. 3. Not objecting didn't necessarily mean they'd follow the rules all the time. If push came to shove, they might still wipe out a smaller village before the alliance could react, leaving the alliance to only punish them after the fact. But there was little chance of them being destroyed outright in retaliation. Seasoned leaders like Hiruzen and Noki understood how much leeway they still had. Next, the 5th Mizukage Maitaram stood up. If Akatsuki is the alliance's peacekeeping force, how will those orders be issued? And how can shinobi from different factions join the Akatsuki? All eyes turned to Senshi. He replied, peacekeeping missions require a vote among the representatives each village sends to the alliance. As for how to join the Akatsuki, we can talk specifics later. In principle, any faction's elite ninja can join. Satisfied, May nodded and sat back down. Meanwhile, the top brass from each faction whispered among themselves. Under the first Hokage Hashirama and the other early Kage, the ninja world had transitioned from the Warring States era to the Hidden Village era. Now, with Senshi's push, they were evolving from the Hidden Village era to a Shinobi Alliance era. Though it was a major shift in the world's structure, the crowd seemed far more receptive than one might expect. There were clear advantages for everyone involved. Behind Noki, the 5 Tails Jinkriki Han said quietly, once the alliance is in place and Akatsuki has a branch in Iwagakure, we can probably use some of our military budget for economic development. Noki shot him down immediately, slamming his desk. Fool! We don't even know if the alliance is going to last. Who can say what unexpected changes might arise in the future? Iwagakure cannot cut its military spending. No matter what, we have to remain strong in case conflict suddenly breaks out. Kitsuki added, exactly right. However, with the alliance, we can strengthen our ties and trade with other parties to grow our economy. Similar conversations popped up all over the chamber. Almost everyone concluded that, overall, the alliance's benefits outweighed the downsides. As delegates spoke softly among themselves, Senshi kept fielding questions so they could better understand this Shinobi United Nations concept. After he answered one more ninja's query, the fourth Raikage stood up. Lord Senshi, we've learned quite a bit about the alliance, but we're all wondering, is your perfect ninja world plan truly workable? How do you plan to do it? Patreon.com/Bleem. This fanfic is completed in Patreon. Chapter 208, Chapter 208, Eye of the Moon Plan Start. The Raikage's question drew everyone's attention. Most people already understood the benefits of forming a ninja alliance, but the ultimate mission of the alliance, Senshi's so-called perfect ninja world plan, was still largely mysterious. The most unbelievable aspect was that it supposedly allowed the deceased to be brought back to life. Every faction naturally hoped to resurrect some of their fallen shinobi, as many late comrades still held strategic level value. For Konoha, for instance, reviving the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, would cause their overall strength to skyrocket. When Senshi called Eve Ryon to Omegakure, he had prepared in advance for these questions. So, after the fourth Raikage spoke, he answered honestly, the perfect ninja world plan really can be done, but it won't be easy. First, the alliance must remain firmly united so that once we resurrect the dead, we don't trigger yet another large-scale war. Second, reviving the dead comes with conditions. A faction must make sufficient contributions to the ninja alliance before their deceased can be brought back. The moment Senshi finished, Karin and Muzan leapt up from their seats and started clapping again. Having a grand time. Most of the other ninjas just smiled wryly. Many, however, wholeheartedly approved of Senshi's proposal for an alliance and a perfect ninja world plan, among them Tsunade, the princess of Konoha, who dearly hoped her younger brother could live again. Likewise, at the back of the hall stood Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto wished for his parents to be revived, Sasuke hoped for the restoration of his parents and his clan. Glancing at Sasuke, Naruto said, Sasuke, from now on we should do as much as we can in the alliance under the name of Konoha Shinobi. That way, it'll be easier to resurrect our people. Uncharacteristically, Sasuke nodded in agreement without any snark. Standing beside them was Jiraiya, officially part of the Konoha leadership, though he didn't have a seat in this conference. At the moment, he was wearing a bitter look. The thought that Dan might get resurrected and then chase down Tsunade hurt even more, Tihan failing to win her himself. Then again, Jiraiya realized that Konoha had produced tons of talents in its history, so who knew how long it would take Dan to win the resurrection competition. If Jiraiya managed to court Tsunade before Dan's return, the end having him revived later wouldn't matter. It wasn't as though Tsunade would say, let's just live together the three of us because that's the most important thing, right? Likewise, Orochimaru, another Konoha leader who wasn't seated, stood toward the back with Kabuto. Upon hearing the rules of the Alliance's resurrection system, Orochimaru thought of his parents, whose deaths once drove him to obsess over immortality. If Senshi's plan could actually bring them back, that would be a welcome twist. Kabuto was even more emotional. He longed for the day the orphanage dean his beloved mother. Figure, non-Yakushi could be revived. Then he silently resolved to act as a Konoha ninja, making enough contributions to the alliance that Lady Nan could return to the Living. Elsewhere, in an underground chamber, one of Senshi's wood-style clones was meeting with Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu seemed in an excellent mood, as though he'd just dug up somebody's ancestral grave. Whatever he'd been up to, it went well. Spotting Senshi, he chuckled, "Senshi, how's the mission going?" Senshi responded casually, "It's on track. Aside from the 8 tails, all the other bitch have already been sealed in the Gedo statue. It won't be long before Madara and Obito get the 8 tails too. And then the 10 tails can be resurrected at least partially." Black Zetsu was delighted. As expected from the best mercenary in the black market, efficiency off the charts. A true black market legend. Senshi's clone just waved a hand. "That's all empty praise," he said lightly. Then he asked, "Hey, Zetsu bro, want to make some money?" Black Zetsu, surprised face, he thought, "Is that even a question?" "Of course I do." So he nodded, "You know me, Senshi, I'm all about amassing funds." That was clear enough. Senshi smiled. "Zetsu bro, do you know your mother's greatest fear?" Black Zetsu frowned, not quite following. Thankfully, Senshi didn't make him guess. Generally, the Tsutsuki travel in pairs, planting god trees in different worlds so they can harvest chakra fruits. But planting a god tree requires one of them to become the tree's sacrificial host. Kaguya and his Heike Tsutsuki came here to plant one. She turned on him, eliminating her direct superior. From that moment on, she's been a traitor to the clan, destined to be hunted by a powerful force. She created her white Zetsu army to defend herself, but that's far from enough. No way it can hold off the might of the rest of the Tsutsuki. As he spoke, Black Zetsu's face darkened. Everything Senshi said was correct. The white Zetsu army was barely more useful than he was and nowhere near strong enough to stop true Tsutsuki pursuers. Black Zetsu asked, "So, what's your point?" Still smiling, Senshi replied, "You're aware I'm forming a ninja alliance, pushing this so-called perfect ninja world, yet?" Black Zetsu nodded. He'd heard rumors, though he hadn't paid it much attention, since he didn't see an immediate link to making money. Senshi went on, "Well, if the perfect ninja world plan succeeds, the ninja war LD's power level will become greater than you can imagine, far beyond what the white Zetsu army could achieve. If the Tsutsuki show up, not only are they your mother's enemies, they're also enemies of the alliance. When that era arrives, the entire world will unite with her against the invaders." Black Zetsu, surprised face, he was stunned into silence. After a moment, he suddenly dropped to his knees with a loud thump, exclaiming, "All these years I've been drifting alone, never finding a true master. Please, let me swear allegiance to." Senshi quickly cut him off, lifting him up. "Come in, Zetsu bro. Let's skip the dramatics. I'm just here to point you in the right direction." Then he explained, "Achieving a perfect ninja world can't happen overnight, so we'll do it in stages. For the first stage, we'll use Edo Tensei to bring back the dead in a special way, but that requires samples of their DNA." Black Zetsu's expression lit up. "Why didn't you say so? Collecting dead people's DNA, that's kinda my specialty. I know exactly whose bones are buried where." Senshi nodded. "Sure, you're an expert. I'll give you a batch of sealing scrolls soon so you can get to work." "Sounds good," Black Zetsu answered, then held out his hand. Senshi frowned. "Zetsu bro, what's that abuti?" With a straight face, Black Zetsu replied. I can't do this for free, can I? Senshi sighed theatrically. Ak. You're not doing me a favor, you're helping your mother and yourself. Think about it, if the clan captures her, you'd have to hire me to ht them on their own turf, which would cost way more than a mere 30 billion. You see what I mean? Black Zetsu cocked his head. So I should thank you. Senshi nodded. It's your call, but big favors go without saying. Just do the job well. Meanwhile, in the black market of the land of Earth, Madara and Obito arrived at a clearing in a forest, visibly excited. Madara was thrilled because they'd finally gathered enough money to buy the 8 tails. Once they sealed it, they could revive the 10 tails fully and launch the Eye of the Moon plan. Obito was equally eager, at last he could implement his grand scheme. They beckoned a white Zetsu clone out of a nearby tree. Half of its body emerged from the trunk. Madara asked casually, how's Senshi's Ninja Alien CE and Perfect Ninja World plan going? White Zetsu replied honestly, all 5 Kage and many other factions have already agreed to form the alliance. Madara snorted. Same story as when Hashirama ended the Warring States era and ushered in the Hidden Village era, useless in the end. We've had multiple great ninja wars anyway. There was never true justice. Only prejudice, bloodshed, and death. Then he added, how about the Perfect Ninja World plan? After a moment's thought, White Zetsu reported had it new, Senshi claims to be resurrecting ninja in increments. Each village that makes enough contributions to the alliance can revive one deceased shinobi. He also intends to make the alliance a powerful institution that keeps the world stable, so after resurrection, no new war breaks out. Madara heaved a sigh. Senshi is a remarkable talent. But the alliance and this so-called perfect world plan both have fatal flaws. It's extremely complicated, and it can't fully prevent conflict. Even if a powerful organization exists, people who want violence will still attempt it. The alliance can only react after the fact. Only my Eye of the Moon plan can stop it at the root. In an eternal dream world, Madara believed, there would be no death, no pain, and killing only. Endless peace. He looked at Obito, saying, back to the mountain graveyard. Let's get in touch with Senshi and get the Eye of the Moon plan started. Obito nodded, finally seeing his years-long ambition about to come true. He used Kamui to warp them White Zetsu included back to the mountain graveyard. Once there, they sent yet another White Zetsu off to contact Senshi and purchase the 8 tails. They didn't have to wait long. A dark red vortex appeared, swirling like a black hole, and from it emerged none other than Senshi himself. He looked at them cheerfully and asked, Madara bro. Toby bro, did you get the money? Madara nodded. We have it. I'll pay you 800 million RY to deliver the 8 tails. Commission accepted. Client, Uchiha Madara. Goal, provide the 8 tails. Payment, 800 million RY. Rank, S. Reward, 800,000 employment points. The system's notification sounded in Senshi's mind, and he wasted no time. Activating his Kama space-time technique, he retrieved Jiki, the 8 tails, from Kairin's Kamui dimension and tossed it before Madara. Obito handed Senshi a scroll marked with sealing runes. All the money's in there. His words carried a double meaning, not only was the 800 million inside, but also the final settlement from his private deals with Senshi. Senshi's real body then warped away with his payment. Sure he was gone, Madara and Obito carried the Gedo statue outside and began sealing the 8 tails into it. They had already gone through this process with the other 8-tailed beasts, so they'd gotten quite adept. Soon enough, the 8 tails was sealed, and the statue came to life again, slowly reviving the incomplete 10 tails. Its enormous body stirred, with a thunderous roar, the beast rose to its full height in the forest, scattering all wildlife nearby. Madara spread his arms wide, wearing a satisfied grin. From this moment on, the entire world shall know eternal peace and happiness under my guidance. Obito nodded slightly, then said, the world truly is about to see eternal peace and happiness, but there's one small twist. Madara glared at him, displeased by the cryptic remark. Now that they were basically ready to unleash the Eye of the Moon plan, Madara felt Obito was expendable, and he didn't appreciate the attitude. What do you mean? He asked coldly. Unperturbed, Obito said, I mean it won't be you guiding the world to peace, but me. Madara sneered, ugh, Obito, are you sure you want to dance with me? He was about to make a move against Obito, but before he could, someone chopped him hard on the back of the neck. It was Senshi, seemingly out of nowhere. In one swift strike, he knocked Madara unconscious. Then, with practiced efficiency, Senshi plucked out Madara's Rinnegan. Handing the eyes to Obito, he said calmly, mission accomplished. Obito, elated, said, as expected from Senshi, always 100% success. He quickly replaced his own eyes with Madara's Rinnegan. For so long he'd waited for this moment, soon he and Rin could be together in an illusionary paradise. No need for more talk, he immediately headed for the 10 tails. Fully prepared to become its Jinchuriki. A mocking smile played across his lips as he turned away. Once he harnessed the 10 tails' power, not even Senshi might be able to beat him. After he cast Infinite Tsukuyomi, Senshi, no matter how strong, would be stuck in the dream world alongside everyone else. What Obito didn't realize was that all his micro-expressions were laid bare under Senshi's mantra. Watching Obito approach the 10 tails, Senshi mused, what a joker he thinks playing with fancy eyes can match the might of the Tsutsuki clan's tattoo powers. Unaware of Senshi's real thoughts, Obito ascended the 10 tails and began absorbing its power. In the meantime, Black Zetsu rose from the ground beside Senshi, thrilled by how fast things were moving along. Amazing, Senshi, you've pushed the plan this far already. Senshi patted Black Zetsu's shoulder. Zetsu bro, our real challenge will be protecting your mother from the Tsutsuki clan's pursuit. That'll be an even tougher mission, so how's your funding coming along? Black Zetsu puffed out his chest. Don't you worry about me. I've got a massive war chest, and I've also gathered tons of genetic material just like you asked, so we can cooperate with the Ninja Alliance and rake in more cash. No problems there. Pleased, Senshi said, that's what I like to hear. You're reliable at rounding up the resources. While they bantered, Obito completed the absorption and became the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, at which point it felt like an epic BGM rang out. The now 6 paths Obito hovered in mid-air, skin turned grey-white, a horn typical of the Tsutsuki sprouting from his forehead. His outfit morphed, and several jet-black Truth-Seeker balls along with a staff appeared around him. Obito's now indifferent gaze settled on Senshi. Seeing that look, Senshi just chuckled, guessing that Obito wanted to test him. However, Senshi responded in kind. He let go of Black Zetsu, and with a thunderous BGM of his own, he too manifested a 6 paths form. Boom! A massive surge of chakra exploded around him. In an instant, he was floating like Obito, skin bone white, a horn on his forehead, a ring of black tomo around his collar, and Truth-Seeker balls with staff in hand. 6 paths Obito, surprised face, Black Zetsu, surprised face, both were utterly floored. How does Senshi have powers akin to the Tsutsuki without absorbing the 10 tails? Though Obito technically had some of Kagaya's power now, it all stemmed from Her Tsutsuki heritage. He was baffled to see someone with the same or even greater abilities seemingly out of nowhere. Realizing Senshi had stepped up to a higher stage, Obito decided to skip testing him and just proceed with summoning the God Tree. Even if Senshi was immune to the coming infinite Tsukuyomi, Obito figured everyone else would be trapped, leaving Senshi to solo life. Hence, Obito wasted no time. Hovering in mid-air, he raised his arms. Come forth, divine tree! Rumble! The earth split apart, and the 10 tails reconfigured itself from inside the Gedo statue, erupting into the ever-growing God Tree. Obito flew to its top, intending to cast infinite Tsukuyomi on the moon. But for some unknown reason, a Rhine Sharingan never formed on his forehead, so he couldn't project the illusion across the world. This confounded Obito. Black Zetsu, who had been poised to strike, quickly turned to Senshi in frustration. Senshi, this kid can't do it. He can't open the Rhine Sharingan or launch the god, not EVD of a world of trees technique. Let's call Madara in. Senshi nodded calmly. All right, no helping it. I guess Madara's up. With that, his body blinked out of sight. Alarmed, Obito tried to react, but in his Rinnegan state, no longer with double Kamui, he was powerless against Senshi's speed. Wham! Senshi knocked Obito unconscious with a single chop. Obito's last furious thought before blacking out was, damn it! Even before I had the 6 paths mode, Senshi could flatten me. And now that I do have it, he can still flatten me. Did I go 6 paths for nothing? But he had no time to ponder further, he was out cold. Senshi then used medical ninjutsu to pluck out Obito's Rinnegan and grafted it back into Madara's eyes. He casually zapped the unconscious Madara with a bolt of lightning, just enough to wake him up. Madara came to, only to see a horned Tsutsuki-like figure with bizarre tattoos standing before him. Senshi. Startled, Madara was at a loss, but spotted Black Zetsu nearby. Quickly looking back and forth, he demanded, "What's going on here?" Black Zetsu hesitated, then said, "Obito secretly hired Senshi to steal your Rinnegan so he could cast the Tsukuyomi himself. But those eyes originated from you, so he couldn't form the Rhine Sharingan. He just summoned a god tree with no illusions. Then Senshi took him out, reclaimed your eyes, and put them back. That's all I know." He stopped, not wanting to spin more stories he couldn't support. Madara stared at Senshi. He couldn't fathom why Senshi had such monstrous power, nor why Senshi had reimplanted the eyes. When their eyes met, Senshi spoke in a serious but bluffing tone. "Madara bro, you know me, I've been busy with this whole Ninja Alliance project, wanting peace for the shinobi world. But I'm not opposed to other methods. If yours can truly bring eternal peace and happiness, I want to see it. So go ahead, show me what you've got." Madara didn't trust Senshi completely, but he knew from reports that the man was indeed pushing for a peaceful reorganization of the world. Maybe their goals overlapped, just in different ways. So Madara nodded. "Let me show you how the world can attain true, everlasting peace and happiness." He then absorbed the 10 tails chakra from Obito, becoming the 10 tails Jinchuriki himself. After a moment, Madara's skin turned pale. He donned the white robes of the Tsutsuki, a horned protrusion from his forehead, a cluster of black truth-seeker balls, and a staff in hand. He rose into the air. Madara glanced at Senshi and asked, "Why do you have such odd markings, even in this 6 paths form?" Senshi shrugged. "Madara bro, this is my Kama seal, pretty advanced stuff. You don't need that to do infinite Tsukuyomi. Madara grimaced inwardly. He'd devoted most of his life to reaching this six paths mode, only to find he was still a level below Senshi. Nothing beats reality to show you where you stand. At least, as Senshi said, high-level six paths wasn't strictly necessary to cast infinite Tsukuyomi. Otherwise Madara might have had to go do missions and pay Senshi even more money to get it. His mind at ease, Madara floated upward to the top of the God Tree, merging his power with it. As the fusion completed, the tree began siphoning chakra from every corner of the ninja world, stretching skyward to get closer to the moon. Patreon.com/Bleem. This fanfic is completed in Patreon. Chapter 209, Chapter 209, and Kagaya is here. During this process, a vertical third eye appeared on Madara's forehead. When it opened, it revealed a Rhin Sha ring in the Rinnegan with Sharingan Tomo. As soon as that new eye awakened, Madara gave a burst of classic Uchiha laughter. Ha 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 ha. Laughing madly at the sky, he simultaneously activated Infinite Tsukuyomi and the God, Nativity of a World of Trees technique. Infinite Tsukuyomi. God, Nativity of a World of Trees. Boom. From the Rhin Sharingan on Madara's forehead, a beam of light shot out, projecting onto the moon. Instantly, the lunar surface turned a deep crimson color, with 9 black tomo emerging. All across the shinobi world, the genjutsu of Infinite Tsukuyomi took hold. At that moment, only a select few remained fully conscious. In Omegakure, Karin activated a full body Susanoo to shield Naruto, Sasuke, and Tsunade, among others. Typical Y, only Edo Tensei bodies or those protected within a perfect Susanoo can avoid succumbing to Infinite Tsukuyomi's illusion. Elsewhere, at Itaki and Hoshigaki Kisame's location, Itaki also cast his own full-body Susanoo, shielding himself and Kisame. Beyond them, Orochimaru and Kabuto were also unaffected by the genjutsu. Orochimaru had developed the Yamata no Orokai fruit to an unbelievable level, making him anything but ordinary. And Kabuto, being the host of Sukuna, was likewise protected from Folly NG under the illusion. Noticing how full-body Susanoo could protect people, Naruto and Sasuke wasted no time. They began using their fusion dance together. Under normal conditions, Sasuke couldn't wield a full body Susanoo, but in his Narasuke, he could open the Rinnegan and use a perfect Susanoo. Originally, Obito had assumed that once Infinite Tsukuyomi was activated, Senshi would basically be left playing solo mode in the ninja world. He never expected that the present ninja world was packed with experts. Aside from Senshi and Black Zetsu, quite a few others had immunity to Infinite Tsukuyomi. Sasori, who had already technically ascended with a Hextech regeneration core, remained unaffected. Kakuzu, too, thanks to his Earth Grudge Fear secret technique and extensive development of his string fruit, was also immune. After fusing via the fusion dance, Naruto and Sasuke, now Narasuke, swiftly opened the Rinnegan and produced their own perfect Susanoo, protecting many people. Meanwhile, countless roots of the God Tree appeared all over. Any ninja caught by the infinite Tsukuyomi illusion were wrapped in those roots and ensnared safely inside the Susanoo shields. Conjured by Karin and Narasuke, the 5 cage stood there with grim expressions. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked extremely serious. What's going on here? Noki and the other cage shook their heads. Even they weren't sure. Maitaram turned to Karin. Karin-chan, do you know what's happening? Karin shook her head like a rattle drum, but promptly looked at one of Senshi's wood-style clones. Senshi, what's all this? After she asked, everyone else within the 2 Susanoo barriers turned to Senshi's clone. He cleared his throat. Relax. This is just a drill, not a genuine disaster. Karan, surprised face. Everyone else, surprised face. They stared blankly, totally confused. Mei hesitated, then spoke again. Senshi, a powerful genjutsu. Seems to have spread across a huge area, putting tons of ninja to sleep. Senshi nodded. That's right, Sis Mei. This genjutsu is called Infinite Tsukuyomi. Channeling the moon's power, it can blanket the entire ninja world. Anyone caught in it has their chakra drained by the god tree and ends up lost in the illusion. Inside, they experience a dream come true scenario. So real it's an early indistinguishable from reality. He paused, adding mischievously, if you like, Sis Mei, you could step outside the Suzanu's protection and try it out. Mei Taram, surprised face. Everyone else, surprised face. Is this guy serious? Who would voluntarily hop into an illusion? Yet hearing how one could savor a dream come true experience, Mei was visibly tempted. She coughed lightly. Senshi, are you absolutely sure it's safe? He nodded. Yep, don't worry. It's just a drill. After some time, the infinite Tsukuyomi illusion will end. Hearing that, and with countless eyes on her, Mei left Suzanu's protective area. Wait, Mizukage! People cried out in alarm, unable to believe Mei was placing so much trust in Senshi and ignoring their advice. But Mei was set on trying out the illusion. Jiraiya, watching her step into the world of infinite Tsukuyomi, scratched his head. I'll go study this genjutsu, too. Senshi rolled his eyes. He didn't bother telling him off. Study it. Yeah, right. As Jiraiya was about to leave the Suzanu's cover, Tsunade grabbed his shoulder. No, you can't. I fear you'd do something indecent. That made Jiraiya freeze. Inwardly, he lamented missing the perfect opportunity. If he hadn't come to Omegakure, he could be somewhere else, comfortably immersed in a dream world once the genjutsu hit. In his infinite Tsukuyomi, maybe he'd be with Tsunade, surrounded by endless beautiful women. Halted by Tsunade, Jiraiya suddenly glanced at Senshi's wood-style clone. Senshi, where's your real body? Isn't he stuck outside the Suzano shield, affected by the illusion? After he asked, everyone looked at Senshi's clone. Senshi merely grinned. You underestimate me, Jiraiya. This kind of genjutsu can't touch my real body. At that, Jiraiya found himself at a loss for words. He was basically handing Senshi a chance to brag. Next to Senshi's clone, Narasuke, the fused Naruto and Sasuke, got pulled into their inner consciousness by the Sage of Six Paths. Hago Romo looked at them with a complex expression. He could perceive the entire state of the ninja world more clearly than most. He saw many extraordinary people who were free of the infinite Tsukuyomi. Even more confusing, he saw his previous Indra reincarnation about to resurrect his mother, Kaguya. Plus, near them stood another being who seemed like an even more pure-blood Satsuki than Kaguya, a person who was apparently the real Senshi. At this point, Hago Romo felt he no longer understood the modern ninja world at all. While the Sage of Six Paths was quietly observing Senshi, the real Senshi near the god tree sensed it, and glanced briefly in the sage's direction. He didn't interfere, though he just wanted to watch Madara's performance. By now, Madara had absorbed enough chakra and fused with the god tree. Senshi knew the highlight scene was imminent, and he was absolutely correct. Black Zetsu's signature backstab no jutsu was already formidable, but with half a year of practice digging up ancestors, he'd honed that stealthy strike to perfection. Madara was still basking in his dream of successfully completing his plan when Black Zetsu appearing behind him, unleashed a swift, precise, and ruthless strike, the black hand poke. Splork! Before Madara could even register what was happening, he'd been stabbed through the chest. He managed a hoarse cry, glaring furiously back at Black Zetsu. You dare betray me? Black Zetsu shook his head. Not betray, I was only using you. As Madara's power faded, he wheezed, you dare defy Senshi's will? Again, Black Zetsu shook his head. This is all part of the plan. Long ago I hired him to handle this. Hearing that, Madara sank into total despair. Well, guess that's the end. There's no room for me to maneuver here. Under Black Zetsu's control, Madara's consciousness dimmed and his body was swallowed by the God Tree. At once, the powers initially dispersed and sealed by Hago Romo and Hamurad Satsuki came together, the Gedo statue, the chakra of the nine-tailed beasts, the vast chakra of the ninja world. The Unio-en of Asura's and Indra's powers giving rise to the Rinnegan, and Madara's Rhine Sharingan. Once Madara's body was wholly devoured, a figure of regal, frosty beauty appeared in midair. Kagaya Satsuki had finally returned to the mortal plane after countless centuries. The newly revived Kagaya cast her cold eyes toward where Senshi stood. She felt a sudden jolt in her heart. There was an Satsuki she didn't recognize at all. This outcome was beyond anything she'd expected. She never dreamed she'd face a powerful clan member so soon upon revival. But there was no choice. She'd have to fight. I have to kill him, then buy enough time to form a massive white Zetsu army for when the other clan members come for me, she thought. Deciding to go all out, she set her sights on eliminating this Otsutsuki Senshi. Spotting her mother's battle-ready posture, Black Zetsu popped out of her wide sleeves in alarm. Mom, no, don't do it. You can't win against him. Kagaya, somewhat naive in matters of war, lacked genuine combat experience. She needed Black Zetsu to guide her in fighting Naruto and Sasuke, so going up against Senshi would be even harder. But despite Black Zetsu's plea, Kagaya insisted, I must destroy this foe, or we'll never have time to mass-produce White Zetsu to resist the clan's pursuit. Black Zetsu panicked. Mom, White Zetsu are useless. They can't even dig graves as efficiently as me. Plus, Senshi's not our enemy, he's on our side. Kagaya's eyes were resolute. He is the enemy. He resurrected me just to haul me back to the clan. For judgment. Black Zetsu, surprised face, what is this? She won't believe a word he says. How to fix this? Senshi had assumed everything would be finished once Kagaya returned, only to find she wanted to pick a fight. Fine, he thought, time to see how his current hacks level stacked up against a genuine Satsuki. Senshi thus told Black Zetsu lightly, no worries, Zetsu bro. Let me have a little bout with Aunt Kagaya. Hearing that, Kagaya wrinkled her brow. Aunt Kagaya? A next-gen member of the clan? Perfect. He's probably not that experienced in battle, so I have a better chance. Her train of thought set, Kagaya deployed her divine jutsu, a Menaminika. In an instant, she pulled Senshi into her first pitch space. This bizarre place connects to 5 separate nature dimensions. In such realms, Kagaya generally fights with enormous advantage. Watching her drag Senshi inside, Black Zetsu turned pale. Mom, you really can't beat him in here. Either. Kagaya declared firmly, in the first pitch space, I can defeat him. But her good son, Black Zetsu, felt like crying. He had never anticipated this scenario. Right away, Kagaya launched into battle. This aunt of the Tsutsuki stuck to her usual 3 tricks. Pulling her foe into the first pitch space, hopping around with Yamatsu Hirasaka to move unpredictably, and using her Byakugan to locate weaknesses before unleashing her 80 gods. Vacuum attack. Yamatsu Hirasaka. She vanished. The moment she did, Senshi triggered his Kama teleportation to retreat 2 paces. Anticipating she'd appear behind him. Indeed, she instantly materialized in front of him. One finger nukite. Senshi didn't hold back. As soon as she blinked back into view, he drove his strongest spear hand. Thrust through her chest. Kagaya couldn't be easily killed, sealing was the only guaranteed method, so he had no qualms fighting at full force. Seeing Kagaya take a direct hit to the heart, Black Zetsu almost jumped out of his skin. Senshi, stop! Hurting my mom! Yet Kagaya promptly used Yamatsu Hirasaka again to gain distance. With her pseudo-immortal body, any physical or ninjutsu-based injury healed in seconds. Freed from close range, the gaping chest wound simply sealed itself. Chastened by his speed, she no longer dared to approach. She locked eyes on him with the Byakugan, but Senshi made no move to press her just yet. From a distance, Black Zetsu watched Kagaya stare at Senshi for a long time without moving. Curious, he asked, "Mom, what are you doing?" Still on guard, Kagaya replied icily, "I'm checking for a weak spot to target with rabbit hair needles. Or the 80 gods vacuum attack, but it's like he has none." Black Zetsu sighed. "Exactly, Mom. He has no weak spot." Realizing that chasing a weakness was futile, Kagaya decided to bombard him with the 80 gods vacuum attack anyway. 80 gods vacuum attack. Concentrated clumps of ultra-high-density chakra came flying in a relentless barrage. Facing this onslaught, Senshi activated Gundam, a blend of Light Tuning and Susanoo. 200 million volts, Raijin. ZZT. Crackle. Suddenly, an enormous giant of thunder and lightning appeared, wielding a golden trident. He smashed aside the furious torrent of chakra blasts. Senshi's Rumble fruit had been his earliest cheat, and with countless gacha bonuses plus his own ongoing development, it had reached an absurdly advanced stage. Without relying on fancy technique, Senshi simply used his monstrous stats to command unstoppable power. The giant swung its trident, scattering the 80 gods vacuum attack like a scarecrow stabbing at a hog, then lunged at Kagaya. Black Zetsu nearly jumped out of his soul. "Mom, run!" No need for the warning, she already knew she had to flee, using Yamatsu Hirasaka to slip into the lava dimension. Unlike her fight against Naruto and Sasuke, she'd been battered enough not to drag Senshi along. Safely in the lava realm, Kagaya asked Black Zetsu warily, "Got any intel on that Satsuki soldier? He's terrifyingly strong." Black Zetsu's face W as one of despair. "Mom, he's not an Satsuki pursuer, he's just a normal ninja. Here. And he's a mercenary. As long as you pay enough, he'll talk." Kagaya frowned. "Since when does the clan do mercenary work?" While they talked, Senshi used his Kama warp to follow them into the lava dimension, announcing, "And Kagaya, your first pitch space is impressive. It took me a moment to track you here." Kagaya, with a cold snort, began manipulating the lava dimension's environment. Whoosh! A massive wave of scorching fire and molten rock erupted toward Senshi. Columns of magma surged up, seeking to give him a burning hot experience. Kagaya herself bombarded him again with the 80 gods vacuum attack. This time, Senshi didn't repel everything with 200,000,000 volts, Raijin. Instead, he used the Kama's absorption ability. Absorb. Since the 80 gods vacuum attack was made from intensely condensed chakra, the Kama could directly devour it. Seeing her signature move get sucked away, Kagaya's eyes went wide. But it seemed irrelevant because the flames and lava had already engulfed Senshi. If he couldn't warp out, he'd be hurt, right? She'd underestimated him. Faced with that natural energy onslaught, Senshi simply dissolved into elemental form. The attacks passed right through him without inflicting any damage. Next thing she knew, he donned the Infinity Gauntlet on his right hand. Though it currently lacked Infinity Stones, it was still a formidable weapon. Gauntlet on, courtesy out the window. He activated Godspeed, becoming a streak of golden light and rushing at Kaguya. Her eyes widened. She couldn't even cast Yamatsu Hirasaka in time. In that fractional moment of breath, Senshi could unleash multiple combos. He didn't bother showing mercy, as it had been a while since he'd faced an opponent of this caliber. Indeed, in that one breath, enhanced by Godspeed, Senshi landed wave after wave of elbow strikes. He'd chosen elbow attacks partly to demonstrate his speed and partly just for fun. By the time Kaguya even registered the assault, her chest had been hammered dozens of times. Senshi favored elbow strikes for the sense of style. After all, she couldn't be killed by normal means. So he was free to go easy or go wild as he liked. Patreon.com/Bleem. This fanfic is completed in Patreon. Chapter 210, Chapter 210, Kaguya as Shinobi Alliance Consultant. Realizing she had no advantage fighting Senshi in the lava dimension, Kaguya once again used her Amenaminika. This time, she shifted into the ice dimension, a space where she could control all natural forces of ice and snow. Not long after Kaguya arrived there, a familiar vortex, dark red and black hole-like, opened not far away. Seeing that portal, Kaguya reacted at once, launching a sneak attack. All-killing ash bones. She fired several grey-white bone spikes aimed straight at Senshi. If even one of those spikes scored a hit, the victim would crumble to pale grey dust. Facing Kaguya's all-killing ash bones, Senshi chose total elementalization to dodge the damage. The spikes pierced through the lightning aura of his elemental form and shot off into the distance, failing to harm him. As soon as Senshi cancelled his elementalization, Kaguya appeared in front of him, reaching out her hand for his forehead. Temporary paralysis technique. In that split second, just as Senshi left elemental form, Kaguya's slender fingers were about to brush against his forehead. Yet right at the critical moment, time for her and time for Senshi diverged again. In that instant, armed with Godspeed, Senshi could do a great many things. Kaguya saw only a flash of gold before he vanished. By the time her surroundings returned to normal, she realized that Senshi's palm was resting gently on her smooth forehead. Unfortunately, Senshi lacked any jutsu to paralyze or siphon chakra, so nothing came of it. Kaguya, shaken by his speed, instantly backed off, using her jutsu again. Yamatsu Hirasaka. Her body vanished behind a series of dark, rectangular portals, reappearing far away. Then, in her direction, a storm of icy spikes rained down on Senshi from every direction. The intense barrage of attacks at last gave her a small breather. Eyes shining, she watched him carefully. Black Zetsu sighed in resignation. "Mother, please stop fighting him. Senshi is a mercenary. If we pay him enough, he could ally with us." Kaguya's response was succinct, "I have no money." Black Zetsu hastily added, "I do, though. I've got plenty, so can you two please not fight?" He had never imagined that right after reviving his mother, she would pick a fight with Senshi. Yet as he pleaded with them, a fiery red beam of energy melted all the icy spikes in one fell swoop. Senshi's real body now appeared clad in the destroyer armor, which offered him perfect protection. Because Senshi was already enormously powerful on his own, using the destroyer armor made him Even more formidable. Realizing that the forces of the ice dimension were ineffective, Kaguya abruptly changed her tactic. Tailed BST transformation. In the blink of an eye, Kaguya turned into a pure white, rabbit-like beast, her personal form of the Ten Tails power. Tailed Beast Bomb. Upon transforming, the white rabbit's mouth began gathering a pitch-black sphere of chakra. It was a mass of raw energy growing ever larger, a fearsome ball of ruinous power. Moments later, the bomb whooshed straight at Senshi. Senshi promptly raised the destroyer armor's built-in energy cannon. A blood-red beam clashed violently with the tailed beast bomb. Boom! Rumble! A tremendous shockwave rippled through the entire ice dimension, radiating outward from the point of impact. The surrounding ice shattered, avalanches roaring in every direction. Just as Kaguya prepared a second tailed beast bomb, a golden flash streaked out from inside the destroyer armor. With the infinity gauntlet on his fist, Senshi unleashed a savage punch into the snowy rabbit's abdomen, sending her flying like a kite with its string cut. If the infinity gauntlet had its full set of gems, that blow would have done serious damage. Even so, Kaguya decided not to drag him into the gravity dimension or another pocket dimension again. She reverted to her human form, apparently wanting to talk. The recent fight had firmly convinced her that she was no match for him, and that Black Zetsu's intelligence must be correct. Back in human form, Kaguya stared at Senshi with a composed but chilly gaze. "So you're a mercenary?" Removing the infinity gauntlet from his right hand, Senshi answered offhandedly, "Yes, and Kaguya. Do you and Zetsu bro have some new assignments for me?" She pondered a moment and said, "Not at the moment, but there will be some in the future." This answer didn't surprise him. She had a rather naive personality, and the brain-s of her was clearly not at Black Zetsu's level. Seeing no further reason to keep fighting, Senshi used his Kama warp to exit the dimension altogether. Alone in that realm, Kaguya let out a long sigh of relief. She'd nearly been done for, thank goodness. Black Zetsu's intel was right. Now that Senshi was gone, she turned to Black Zetsu. "Explain everything you know about him." He nodded gladly. "Senshi's a mercenary you can trust. Just pay him enough and he can handle practically anything. I originally schemed to manipulate Indra's reincarnation into awakening the Rinnegan, but his progress was too slow, so I spent some money to hire Senshi to help rescue you. Which is why you were able to revive so quickly." Black Zetsu laid out everything he knew about Sensei. Once he was done, Kaguya followed him out of the first pitch dimension into the ninja world itself. By now, she had a much better grasp on Senshi. Outside, she saw that Senshi had cancelled his 6 paths mode, reverting to normal. Realizing he wouldn't resume hostilities, she resumed infinite Tsukuyomi, hoping to build her white Zetsu army. But Senshi called out at once to stop her. "Hold on, Aunt Kaguya. Making more white Zetsu is pointless." She glanced at him. "Oh. White Zetsu won't stand a chance against the clan's pursuers," he explained. "But I have a plan to bring new light to this world, the perfect ninja world. We'd resurrect the strongest ninja in history, so they can fight alongside us when the Tsutsuki come." Kaguya, surprised face, that suggestion left her wide-eyed. Indeed, reassembling powerful ninja of the past was far better than cultivating thousands of single-purpose white Zetsu. The only downside was she wouldn't be able to reclaim all of her chakra from everyone. People all across the ninja world were, in some sense, originally part of her chakra. She hesitated, and Black Zetsu stuck his head out of her robe. "Mom, Senshi's exactly right. Next, we can just commission him to create a perfect ninja world. which'll help us fight off the clan. Simple. Kagaya frowned slightly. Is it really that straightforward? Before Black Zetsu could respond, Senshi, off in the distance, rubbed his hands together. "Ant. Kagaya, that's absolutely doable. What do you think, Zetsu bro? Are we issuing the mission?" Full of pride, Black Zetsu said, "I follow my mother's orders and the money I've stashed. Underground is all hers anyway." After a brief pause, Kagaya turned to Senshi. "Then, Senshi, I'll use the funds Black Zetsu has hidden in the underground vault to hire you. Build a perfect ninja world and protect me from the Tsutsuki clan." Commission accepted. Client, Kagaya Tsutsuki. Goal, build a perfect ninja world and defend Kagaya from the Tsutsuki pursuit. Payment, 100.067 billion RY. Rank, S. Bonus, 100,006,700 employment points. Hearing that, Senshi was floored. Senshi, Omega Omega. Though he knew Black Zetsu was into some massive deals, he'd never guessed the underground hoard was worth over 100 billion RY. His previous record high was a bit over 30 billion, so this was more than triple that. Meanwhile, now that Kagaya was revived, the 300-some billion RY mission was technically complete. Senshi had over 40 million employment points to burn on gacha pulls, sure to unlock advanced features. And once he built that perfect ninja world and repelled the clan, he'd gain an even bigger paycheck, enough, perhaps, to gather all infinity stones. After that, he might even talk Kagaya into another mission, attack the Tsutsuki's home world. Then both the ninja world and the Tsutsuki would be sitting at the same table. Happy with the new task, Senshi cheerfully spoke. "All right then, Aunt Kagaya. Go ahead and deactivate Infinite Tsukuyomi. From now on, all these shinobi are your allies." After a moment's thought, Kagaya used her Rain Sharingan to release the Infinite Tsukuyomi illusion. The moon's crimson hue, with its 9 black tomo, returned to normal. And the god tree, formerly Gedo statue, withered back, shrinking into a small 10 tails that Kagaya cradled in her arms. Senshi couldn't help thinking of a meme, Kagaya hugging baby 10 tails, telling it, "Look, that's the real boss." Kagaya had no idea about such humor. She was already using Yamatsu Hirasaka to teleport near Narasuke, Naruto and Sasuke fused. Upon seeing them, her eyes showed confusion. She could sense that these were 2 of her descendants, yet for some reason, they'd fused into one person. Having Kagaya suddenly appear among them made all the nearby shinobi tense up. Her chakra presence was overwhelming. Narasuke felt an odd mix of soul-deep closeness and alarm. But Senshi's wood-style clone immediately explained, "Don't worry, everyone, this is Lady Kagaya Tsutsuki, our new alliance consultant." So they learned that this impossibly powerful being was on their side, though nobody quite knew where she'd come from. Kagaya gazed at the fused Naruto and Sasuke for a moment, then turned to Senshi's clone. "Why did my descendants merge like this?" He shrugged. "It's from a special ninjutsu. It'll wear off eventually." He added, "Plus, Aunt Kagaya, you can probably resurrect Hago Romo and Hamura as well. They, too, are vital to the alliance in resisting the clan." She looked uneasy. After all, her 2 sons had once sealed her away. She was sure she wanted to reconcile. Senshi gently nudged. "And your 2 grandsons? Resurrecting Azura and Indra would also help fend off the Tsutsuki threat." Azura was the ancestor of the Senju and Uzumaki, Indra was the ancestor of the Uchiha. Senshi himself was of Azura's lineage, though his soul came from another dimension. At that suggestion, Kagaya simply nodded. Yes, I want my grandsons back. Senshi, surprised face, what's with that double standard, ignoring her own sons but resurrecting her grandsons? Is he still mad at them? While he mulled over that, Kagaya performed the jutsu. Outer Path, Rhine Tensei. Boom. Rumble. A giant king of hell with Rinnegan eyes burst from the ground, opening its massive jaws to spit out two green lights. At the same time, Naruto and Sasuke, who had just unfused, felt something leave their bodies. Right then, Asura and Indra, who'd been dead for almost a millennium, found themselves revived. Utterly confused. Seeing their grandmother, Kagaya, they jolted in alarm, totally clueless about what was going on. Soon after, Kagaya gently placed her hand on their heads, looking genuinely happy. Asura and Indra remained frozen, freaking out inside. All around, the crowd realized Kagaya truly could bring back legendary figures once thought lost forever. Hence Senshi's perfect ninja world plan was no mere pipe dream. If even Asura and Indra could return, no doubt countless other shinobi from the Warring States era onward could be revived as well. That realization sparked a wave of motivation across the ninja world, as large and small factions started discussing who to resurrect first. Once Kagaya left with Asura and Indra, the Ninja Alliance's conference resumed, more smoothly than ever. Now that resurrection wasn't just some illusionary promise, the group had to seriously plan how to distribute revival slots. They also needed to figure out how to manage so many returning shinobi and avoid a fourth great ninja war. And many were also still chatting about the now ended infinite Tsukuyomi and Kagaya's sudden appearance, suspecting unknown goings-on behind the scenes. From how Senshi's wood-style clone had acted, it was obvious he'd played a critical role in all of it. Though nobody quite understood the details. As the Alliance's meeting continued, Senshi's real body never showed. He and his other wood-style clones were busy handling more pressing matters. Besides, the Alliance was already on a good track. Until Yahiko came back, Nagato could handle it. Omegakure Uzumaki clan district. Within the Uzumaki's domain stood a new Kagaya mansion. Apart from Asura and Indra, now it contained two more figures, Hago Romo and Hamura Tsutsuki. Kagaya had decided to reconcile with her sons at last, not caring to dredge up the past. Instead, she showed keen interest in her many descendants. She turned to Hago Romo. "These two are your children?" she asked, pointing at Asura and Indra. Hago Romo nodded. "Yes, mother." Kagaya next looked at Asura and Indra. "Those Uzumaki outside descendants of Asura. So where are Indra's descendants?" Scratching his head, Indra said, "Grandmother, I should have some, but I sense them very faintly." Realizing he basically had far fewer living descendants than his younger brother Asura was humiliating to Indra. Meanwhile, Kagaya glanced at Hamura. "And your descendants?" Hamura replied awkwardly, "Mother, I left them on the moon." Kagaya eyed the moon, her expression strange. "Then why is there only one descendant left?" Hago Romo, surprised face. Asura, surprised face. Indra, surprised face. "One descendant? If that single line fails, there'll be none at all." In fact, far away on the lunar surface, Tonari Tsutsuki had no clue his ancestor was revived or that his clan had dwindled to just him. Trying to smooth things over, Hamura said, "Mother, I can sense a few more distant heirs in the ninja world, too. The Hyga clan, for instance, also descended from Hamura." With that, he more or less sidestepped the question. Meanwhile, Black Zetsu hid in Kagaya's wide sleeves, silently relieved that Kagaya hadn't asked him about his lineage. He was a special existence without any way to reproduce unless his mother whipped up a female version of Black Zetsu for him. In the aftermath of Infinite Tsukuyomi and Azura/Indra's revival, the Alliance Conference progressed at an unprecedented pace. Each hidden village received a certain number of spots for Rhine Tensei revivals and also Edo Tensei revivals. Countless factions began internal discussions about who to bring back first. Meanwhile, Senshi's real body was gleefully burning through those 40+ million employment points he had accumulated. Konoha Hokage's office. Gathered were the F3 elders, Tsunade, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Kabuto, Naruto, and Sasuke. Sarutobi. Hiruzen turned to everyone. Konoha has 5 opportunities to use the outer path Rhine Tensei. My suggestion is to decide according to their contributions to the village, resurrecting our fallen heroes in that order. Mitokado Homura added, yes, but we also need to consider who their descendants are, and Senshi's input as well. For instance, Lord Uzumaki Ashina of Ozashio wasn't a Konoha shinobi per se. But he contributed to us and he was also an ancestor of Senshi. Koharu Yudatan nodded. Agreed. But the Uzumaki clan can presumably use their own resurrection slots for him. For Konoha's initial 5, let's pick the first Hokage, Lady Mito, the second Hokage, the fourth Hokage, and Kushina. Chapter 211, Chapter 211, it worked. Resurrection time. As soon as those words were spoken, Eve Ryon present nodded in agreement. Those 5 by seniority, strength, and contributions were undeniably the best choices. Tsunade, hearing this, clenched her fists slightly, struggling to contain her excitement. They were talking about her grandfather and grandmother, the first Hokage and the first lady, about to return to life. How could she not be overjoyed? But then she thought of her younger brother Nawaki, her beloved Dan-cat, and other important people in her life who had passed away, and she felt a pang of sorrow. Under the Alliance's current rules for distributing revival slots, who knew how long it would take before she could resurrect them? Jiraiya, noticing Tsunade's reddening eyes, sighed and patted her shoulder in comfort. He felt equally conflicted but hated seeing his dear friend in such pain. Naruto felt something similar. He lowered his head, hands clenched unconsciously. He could hardly contain the thrill at the thought of his parents coming back. It almost made him want to leap for joy. But then he realized Sasuke would have to keep waiting. If he showed too much excitement, wouldn't that be like rubbing salt into Sasuke's wound? So Naruto took a deep breath, doing his best to appear calm, though his slightly ragged breathing betrayed his excitement. Sasuke, standing not far from Naruto, instantly guessed what was going through his friend's mind. With a small, reassuring smile, he stepped forward to break the silence. Lord Hokage. In a firm voice, Sasuke asked, the Alliance's resurrection slots are allocated based on each village's contributions to the Alliance, right? Hiruzen Sarutobi nodded. That's correct. Konoha is taking 5 slots in advance. If I serve the village and the Alliance above and beyond, can I earn a slot of my own to revive someone of my choosing? Sasuke asked resolutely, bowing deeply. Hiruzen and his 2 advisors exchanged a look. All 3 broke into warm smiles and nodded. Koharu Yudatan answered gently, of course. If you render meritorious service to the Alliance, you deserve one of those slots in return. After all, with the first, second, and fourth Hokage revived, Konoha would be more secure than ever. They no longer had any reason to worry about a potential Uchiha uprising. Even if someone resurrected Fugaku and Mikoto or even Madara himself, it wouldn't cause much trouble. Hearing their response, Sasuke let out a breath and bowed formally. Thank you, Lord Hokage, and Esteemed elders. Tsunade, who had been feeling down, now found her spirits reignited. Humph, guess I can't lag behind either. She lifted her chin, brimming with the usual confidence of the Konoha princess. Once I've racked up enough points, I'll bring Nawaki and the others back sooner than later. The mere thought of her young brother Nawaki and lover Dankat standing before her again set her blood racing. In the corner, Kabuto pushed up his glasses, revealing a rare earnest smile. He, too, yearned to resurrect Lady Nan. For that, he'd also have to work twice as hard. Everyone else nodded, empathizing with the pain of losing loved ones. Each of them had people they wished could return. At that moment, a fresh hope lit up in everyone's eyes. All the other major villages face a similar situation, Hiruzen Sarutobi said slowly. They'll mostly opt to revive their past kage and greatest heroes. Sure, resurrecting so many high-level shinobi will drastically shake up the balance of power in the ninja world, but it should still be crucial for preserving peace in the days ahead. He paused, looking emotional. It's my life's greatest fortune to see old comrades, mentors, and younger friends regain their lives. Hearing that, Tsunade felt a surge of emotion. If her grandfather and grandmother were really revived, and could see the peaceful world they'd once dreamed of gradually taking shape, how gratified they would be. She pictured Hashirama's goofy grin. She could only imagine how that legendary first Hokage, creator of Konoha, would react upon beholding this new era of the ninja world. Meanwhile, in Omegakure, Senshi had another angle in mind. According to the Alliance's decisions, anyone seeking to resurrect a ninja had to pay Kagaya Tsutsuki a massive fee. Reviving a top-tier fighter was priced at a staggering 500 million RY. With this great resurrection business, Kagaya stood to gain limitless wealth. But Senshi's lips curved into a knowing smile, all that money would eventually end up in his purse. Meaning it would be funneled back to him via new commissions. Kagaya's profits would go straight into his pocket, fueling his own upgrades and unlocked abilities. Just then, Senshi himself was seated cross-legged on his bed, watching the system interface flash rapidly. Congratulations, you have obtained 1 unit of chakra. Congratulations, you have obtained 3 explosive tags. Woo, only 400 more sets of 10 pulls to go. Senshi muttered, wiping non-existent sweat from his brow. Once I'm done, I should unlock the advanced draw feature at last, right? Although day after day of random draws was mind-numbing, the lure of those top-tier possible prizes reinvigorated him. Just as he was about to try his luck again, there was a gentle knock at the door. Knock knock. It opened a crack, revealing a red-haired girl peeking in cautiously. Senshi. He recognized her and couldn't help a laugh. Hey there, Karin. Looking for me? Karin pouted. She was used to that nickname and hurried over with a sealed scroll clutched to her chest, looking uneasy. She held it up like a nervous child, quietly saying, Senshi, I have a request. Summoning her courage, she explained, I want to resurrect my mother. But with the Alliance's current system, neither of us has enough status. It'll take ages before I can earn a slot. Her head drooped, tears pooling in her eyes. Maybe, it'll be years, maybe longer before we get that chance. Her mother was one of the last survivors of the Uzumaki clan, killed protecting Karin in wartime. Karin had never healed from that wound. Now that so many were on track to reunite with their loved ones, she felt pangs of envy and sorrow, but couldn't bear to impose except on the one she trusted most, Senshi. He listened, then nodded in understanding. That's all? I was expecting something big. He patted her head, smiling comfortingly. So Karin misses her mommy, hey? Karin flushed. I'm not a kid anymore. Then she looked up at him hopefully. But you must have a way, right? Senshi arched an eyebrow. That's easy. Just go ask Aunt Kagaya. Pay her enough money and she'll revive your mom, simple as that. Karin, surprised face, she froze on the spot, nearly dropping her scroll. It was that simple? Her mind went blank, wondering if she misheard. Seeing her stunned, Senshi couldn't help but laugh. You still don't get it, do you? Zetsu bro and Aunt Kagaya would definitely do it as a favor to me. For real. Karen's eyes sparkled, and she gave an excited hop, practically hugging Senshi's arm. That's awesome. With a wry smile, he waved her off. All right, off you go. Hum. Karen nodded vigorously, swallowing back a lump in her throat. She had hardly spoken when swoosh, her petite figure vanished in a swirl of kamui. That vortex had barely faded when another kamui swirl appeared, revealing a visitor Senshi hadn't expected, a person in a grey cloak and mask. Obito. He'd briefly become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki but lost that power when Madara extracted the beast. He'd survived, and Senshi had even reattached his Sharingan with medical ninjutsu. Obito stared at Senshi. What happened? He was referring, of course, to why both his and Madara's Eye of the Moon plan had failed. Senshi raised an eyebrow. You mean, why did both your plans crash and burn? Obito nodded, eyes full of confusion and frustration behind the mask. The truth, you say? Senshi gave a thin smile. The inscription beneath Naka Shrine was tampered with. Black Zetsu altered it. The path to salvation you and Madara believed in was a carefully crafted lie from the start. What? Obito's eye bulged, voice going shrill. You're saying Black Zetsu rewrote the stone tablet? Senshi nodded, face turning serious. Exactly. And Black Zetsu isn't some will of Madara created either, it has its own agenda. More precisely, it's Kagaya Tsutsuki's child, a piece in her plan to regain her freedom. As for the Uchiha, you're the descendants of Hagoromo's son Indra, whereas Kagaya is Indra's grandmother. In other words, Black Zetsu exploited the Uchiha's obsessions so that your ancestor Kagaya could be resurrected. Each word from Senshi felt like a lightning strike to Obito's brain. He stood there in a daze, mind spinning in chaos. Silence. His fists clenched and relaxed repeatedly, knuckles cracking. His body trembled under the robe. Eventually, he let out a long, ragged breath. I see, so that's how it is. Ha, ha ha ha. He gave a few self-mocking laughs, voice filled with bitterness and regret. When the laughter faded, a sweet, gentle smile rose in his mind. Rin no Hara. She had always encouraged him with bright smiles, serving as both his motivation and the trigger for his fall into darkness. Rin. If the person you love can truly be brought back, why create a false world? Obito snapped his head up, fixing Senshi with a trembling stare. Senshi. Rin. Can she be revived? Senshi nodded calmly. Of course. If you want Rin no Hara back, stay here in the real world. Atone for your past crimes by supporting the Shinobi Alliance. Then, based on your merits, they'll give you a slot to bring her back. That definite answer made Obito's chest feel 1,000 times lighter. He nearly collapsed, tears gathering in his single eye, but he kept his head raised so they wouldn't fall. After a beat, he bowed deeply to Senshi. Thank you, Senshi. Thank you for telling me all this and giving me a chance to atone. I just did what I had to. The choice is yours. I'm glad you picked the right path. Obito gave a wry smile, shaking his head. Right path, hey. I used to think this world held nothing worth living for besides Rin. Since infinite Tsukuyomi is no longer an option, I'll trust you in this so-called perfect ninja world plan. With that, the gloom in his eye vanished, replaced by unprecedented calm and resolve. He shed the mask, revealing a face etched with the scars of time. That once dreaded masked man now looked only remorseful and sincere. He and Senshi gazed at each other for a moment. A hint of relief touched Obito's lips. We'll meet again, Senshi. Then the space around him rippled as he slid into a vortex, vanishing entirely. Senshi gazed at the empty spot, letting out a quiet sigh. But what use is being a simp? All that clownish groveling made my mom wait so many years. A voice drifted up eerily from beneath the floor. Senshi turned to see the wooden boards near the bed ripple into dark waves, from which a shadowy figure emerged. Black Zetsu. Having fully risen, it crossed its arms, wearing a nonchalant expression. Obito left. Yeah, Senshi nodded. You seem calm. Black Zetsu shrugged. As long as my mother's revived, none of them can do a thing to us. Not even if they keep bringing legendary Cage back to life. He then grinned slyly. I heard everything underground. The 5 great villages pay 500 million RY per revive, which means Mama's about to earn a fortune. Senshi laughed. Spying on them from below and counting money for your mom at the same time. Hey! With a casual shrug, Black Zetsu replied, anyway, I've come to continue our collaboration. I'd like to buy a lot of chakra to nourish my mother. Senshi paused, then chuckled. Haha, Zetsu bro, always the devoted son, are we? Black Zetsu flushed, clearing his throat. Ahem, well. Mother's just regained freedom. I have to look after her, don't I? Senshi eyed him curiously. But where'd you get the cash? Black Zetsu drew himself up smugly. Mama gave me an allowance. The 5 great villages alone have 5 slots each, that's 25 resurrected ninja total, plus 15 among the minor villages for 40 in all. At 500 million a pop, that's 20 billion RY straight into Mama's pocket. And she gave me 2 billion as pocket money, which I plan to spend on chakra or other supplements to help her recover. Senshi, surprised face, he gaped, rubbing his forehead. Dude, that's more than Konoha's annual budget as pocket change. Black Zetsu snickered. Ha, that's what having a mom's all about. Senshi rolled his eyes, amused. Fine, fine. Ordinary remedies won't help someone at Kagaya's level. Anyway, direct chakra infusion is best. So if you want to buy chakra, just put a commission. Just what I was waiting for. Black Zetsu smirked, promptly issuing a mission. Lord Senshi, I'll pay you 2 billion RY to provide my mother with 2 billion worth of chakra. Got it, Zetsu bro. I officially accept. Mission accepted. Client, Black Zetsu. Goal, supply Kagaya with chakra worth 2 billion RY. Payment, 2 billion RY. Rank, S. Reward, 2 million employment points. An open field outside Omegakure. The torrential rain had finally ceased, and the dark sky parted enough for some slivers of sunset. In the center of the clearing, Kagaya Tsutsuki stood quietly, clad in pure white robes, her long hair draped over her shoulders, her third eye closed yet still emanating an imposing aura. She was calmly regulating her chakra, waiting for the various ninja representatives to arrive. Suddenly, the ground rippled, and 2 figures emerged one after another, Black Zetsu and Senshi. And Kagaya. Senshi called cheerily, striding over to set a pile of scrolls on a dry rock near her. These scrolls hold 2 billion RYS worth of chakra. Zetsubro asked me to prepare them for you. As a restorative. Kagaya opened her eyes, looking surprised. 2 billion RYS worth of chakra. She glanced at Black Zetsu. He flashed a bashful grin. "Ha, mother, I asked Lord Senshi to help. I'm worried that resurrecting so many people is draining you too much." Kagaya mulled it over, a rare gentle smile touching her lips. Raising a pale hand, she softly patted Black Zetsu's head. "You." He practically beamed inside. "Thank you, Black Zetsu," she whispered, placing her palm on the stack of scrolls and closing her eyes. At once, an enormous surge of pure chakra rose around her. Each scroll's seals lit up, releasing strong waves of energy that flowed into her through her hand. A brilliant halo formed around her figure, her Rhine Sharingan faintly visible under the glow, silvery hair rippling despite the lack of wind. Finally, as the last shred of chakra was absorbed, Kagaya exhaled, opening her eyes again. "How is it, mother?" Black Zetsu asked, stepping forward anxiously. She gave a small nod, her expression notably more relaxed. "Yes, this chakra is exceptionally pure. And vast enough to support my usage of the Rhine Tensei. If I run short again, I presume Senshi can supply more, right?" Her gaze flicked to Senshi, and there was a faint hint of approval. He quickly nodded. "Absolutely, Aunt Kagaya. Anytime you need more." Seeing the Grand Princess of the Tsutsuki look so satisfied, he glanced at his system panel. Sure enough, the bond value next to Kagaya's name had inched higher. "If I keep pushing her favor to max, I can farm more employment points," he thought, all smiles on the surface. "Senshi, I owe you one," Kagaya said softly. He waved it off. "It's nothing, Aunt." Just then, voices echoed from a distance. Looking over, Senshi and Black Zetsu saw a multitude of ninja from every village, Konoha, Tsunagakuer, Iwagakuer, Kumagakuer, Kirigakuer, plus the Land of Iron, Omegakure, Takigakuer, and more, converging on the clearing in huge numbers. Hundreds lined up in neat rows, leaving a wide circle in the center. Their village leaders headed up each faction, Hiruzen Sarutobi, Tsunade, and Jiraiya for Konoha, trailed by Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, Guy, Shikamaru, Hinata, and many more. Gaara and Temari led Tsunagakuer, with Elder Ebas in tow. Iwagakuer had Noki himself, accompanied by Kuratsuki and Akatsuki. Kumagakuer's fourth Raikage strode with his signature swagger, Killer Bee by his side. Kirigakuer featured Maitaram, flanked by Ao and Chjr. And Nagato led the Omegakure team with Konan, Kisame, and the remaining Akatsuki members. Spread out. They all gathered now under the Alliance banner, an epic sight. Kagaya-sama. Representatives from each village approached and respectfully bowed. Hiruzen Sarutobi spoke on their behalf, "We'd like your help performing these resurrection rites. Please, if you'd be so kind. Restore the brave souls who sacrificed themselves defending the Ninja world." The 5 Kage and other major figures bowed. "We're counting on you." Kagaya's expression remained composed, as calm as a windless lake. She nodded. "Let us begin." Slowly raising her hands, she opened her eyes wide. An overwhelming surge of chakra burst from her body, rippling through the surroundings and blowing people's clothes and hair. Her face solemn. Kagaya formed seals, then cried, "Outer path, Rhine Tensei!" Rumble. Bright green light soared skyward, the earth trembling violently. With a deafening roar, a massive figure burst from the ground, towering into the clouds. Fierce-fanged with a terrifying visage, it was unmistakably the legendary King of Hell, said to obey. Only the Rin-Egan. Throwing back its head, it gave a mighty roar that shook the air. Stay calm, everyone. This is part of the Rhine Tensei, Tsunade called, quieting the stirred crowd. Indeed, in the next moment, that hideous king of hell statue let out odd noises from its throat, then spat out a series of glowing green masses. 1, 2, 3. In an instant, 41 orbs of green light shot out, drawing arcs of brilliance across the sky and descending gently to the ground. Each green globe landed and soon took human form, arms, torsos, heads gradually solidifying. It worked. Naruto cheered, clenching his fist. A wave of elation erupted among the onlookers as they realized the impossible was unfolding before them. Chapter 212, Chapter 212, War is over. Next, the stars and beyond. Completed. As the radiance dissipated, the resurrected shinobi gradually came into view. On Konoha's side, as decided beforehand, 5 individuals appeared. Standing proud and dressed in his familiar, rough attire was the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. He had messy black hair and sparkling, lively eyes. Beside him was his wife, Mito Uzumaki, elegant and poised. She looked around gently, observing her surroundings. Next to Mito was a white-haired, imposing figure Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage still in his battle armor, his face watchful and alert. Next, a blond young man smiled calmly at the crowd. Everyone recognized him as the deeply revered fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Standing beside him, a long-haired red-headed woman rubbed her eyes in a daze. It was Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto's mother, still somewhat groggy from just having been brought back. Beyond Konoha's 5, the other villages had equally astounding names revived. In Uegaku's case, the first and second Tsuchikage, Ishikawa and M, reappeared before a teary-eyed Noki. They unmasked M looked just as he did in Noki's memories, leaving the elderly Tsuchikage in tears. Kumigakuer, meanwhile, had 3 large, burly, bald men standing side by side, the first, second, and third Raikage, all resurrected at once. Over at Kirigakuer, 2 figures slowly solidified. One was a tall, bearded, and gaunt elder standing with his hands behind his back, the first Mizukage, Byakuran. The other was a short, chubby, bald man with dead fish eyes, grinning mischievously, the second Mizukage, Gengetsu Hazuki. There was also the third Mizukage alongside them, though few recognized him. Maitaram, Kirigakuer's current representative, just stood there at a loss, unsure which predecessor to greet first. As for Yagura, the fourth Mizukage, he wasn't included in this batch. Because of the turmoil he had caused during his reign, the Bloody Mist Arakiri leaders had opted not to bring him back just yet. Those representing Kirigakuer tacitly understood, Lord Yagura, it looks like you'll need to win the resurrection race and not her day. Besides the cage-level figures, a few others stood out on the list. Ames' hero, Yahiko, for instance. And the mother of Karin from the Uzumaki clan. They had also been summoned back from the Pure Land by Kaguya. 40-1 deceased shinobi were restored in total, leaving the scene momentarily hushed. Many hadn't processed what was happening. The resurrected ninja themselves stood there blankly, scanning the unfamiliar environment. To them, they had gone from the brink, or moment, of death, straight to waking up on this strange battlefield, making it hard to grasp what was going on. Mom! Suddenly, a young girl's choked voice shattered the silence. Karin was pushing her way through the crowd, trembling as she approached a red-haired woman, her mother, Mihako, who had just been brought back. Mihako wore a tattered Kusagakuer Jainin uniform, exactly the outfit she had on at the time of her death. She still looked fearful and unsettled, surrounded by so many powerful, unfamiliar ninja. Hearing a familiar call, she looked down, seeing a red-haired girl with glasses flinging herself into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "Mom! It's you, isn't it? Am I dreaming?" Mihako's entire body shook. With trembling hands, she gingerly touched Karen's cheek. Karen? My child, you've grown so much." Mother and daughter locked eyes, confirming that they truly had each other again, and both lost it emotionally. Karen clung to her mother, tears pouring down, while Mihako patted her daughter's head, choking back sobs, like she feared that letting go meant losing her all over again. "My child, you've been through so much. But I'm here now. I won't leave you ever again." They pair's tears held both sorrow and joy at reuniting, and their weeping made many onlookers tear up. Meanwhile, on the other side, an orange-haired young man named Yahiko was also stirring back to consciousness. "Nagato, Konan. Are you two all right? Where is this?" He looked around at the huge gathering of ninja, utterly baffled. He then spotted his best friends Nagato and Konan. Tears streamed down Nagato's face. "Yahiko! Thank goodness, thank goodness!" Konan was also covering her mouth, crying silently. Yahiko stared at them for a few seconds, then seemed to understand. He broke into his trademark sunny grin and pulled the two into a big hug. "Ha! Looks like fate wouldn't let us stay apart, hey? Nagato, Konan, we're together again." He chuckled, then pointed at Nagato's face. "But what's with your eyes?" Nagato forced a cryptic smile. "Yahiko, never mind the details. From now on, you can just be my eyes." The reunion scene left many people's noses stinging. Shizun discreetly dabbed at her eyes, murmuring, "That's wonderful." Sakura was crying openly, choking out, "It's like a dream." Some residential pond rather, differently, though. "Ha ha ha ha. Tobirama. Mito. What am I doing here?" In the middle of the crowd, a familiar boisterous laugh rang out, the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. In his loud, carefree tone, he scratched his head, eyes full of curiosity as he surveyed the surroundings. "Hey, Tobirama, wasn't I living just fine in the Pure Land? Did you use some jutsu to bring me back?" Tobirama was busy examining his own body, confirming he wasn't under Edo Tensei. His guard up. He scanned the vicinity. "Why, brother, I suspect some jutsu has summoned us both from the Pure Land." "A jutsu? Who's powerful enough to summon the two of us together?" Hashirama wondered aloud. Intrigued, Tobirama didn't answer at once, his sharp gaze combing the crowd. Suddenly, it landed on a gray-haired elder staring back with equally complex eyes. "Is that you, monkey?" The man in question, bent with age and wearing Hokage robes, had a wrinkled face but recognizable eyes matching the bright kid Tobirama recalled. Hiruzen Sarutobi blinked away tears and stepped forward. "Sensei! It's really you!" His voice quavered, and he seemed seconds from weeping. "Lord Tobirama, Lord First Hokage! You're both back!" Next to him, Tsunade couldn't hold herself together anymore. With a sob, she rushed forward and dropped to her knees in front of the first Hokage and Lady Mito. "Grandfather! Grandmother!" Hot tears streamed down her face, her hands clutching Hashirama's sleeve, terrified to let go. "My goodness, is that little Tsuna?" Mito Uzumaki leaned down, peering at the grown woman, delight flickering across her eyes. "Are you, my Tsunade?" "It's me, Grandma." Tsunade sobbed, gripping Mito's hands. "I missed you both so much." They Normally tough and spirited Konoha princess was crying like a child. There, child, don't cry, Mito coaxed gently, though tears shimmered in her own eyes. She brushed at Tsunade's tears, trying to console her. Ah ha ha ha. Hashirama let out a hearty laugh at the sight of his granddaughter weeping into Mito's arms. My little Tsuna's still as clingy as ever, hey. Tsunade's tears turned to half laugh, half sob as she flung herself at Hashirama. Grandpa! He chuckled as he ruffled her hair. Wow, you really have grown up. And, well, gotten a lot taller. Haha. Years had passed. His granddaughter was now a full-grown woman. Lord first, Lord second. Jiraiya was wiping away tears on the side, overwhelmed. Lord first Hokage! Hashirama-sama! Shouts of excitement rang out. Many Konoha ninja present had Fina Lly recognized the legendary founders, calling out to them from a distance, uncertain whether to approach and disturb their family reunion. Hearing all the ruckus, Hashirama smiled broadly, waving. Hey there! Ha ha ha, didn't I think I'd open my eyes to see so many people and from different villages at that. Sweeping his gaze over the 5 great nations' top brass, he laughed. So is this some big 5K meeting or something? It sure looks lively. People glanced at one another, sharing a wry smile. The first Hokage was indeed just as cheerful and direct as the stories said. Elsewhere, Minato Namikaze was finally snapping out of his own daze. After those first moments of confusion, his brain had gone blank. But hearing Naruto's voice in the crowd, he spun around and locked eyes with the woman he had yearned for all along. Kei Kushina, he sputtered, voice shaking with excitement. He'd never dreamed that upon re-entering this world, not only would he be revived, but his wife Kushina, too. This is wonderful. So wonderful. The proud 4th Hokage, once a battlefield legend, was flustered like a giddy child. Babbling as he rushed toward her. Kushina! You're back, too. This is so great. Kushina, her arm wrapped around Naruto, glanced over her shoulder, half tearful and half laughing. Minato! You doofus, you only just realized I'm here. He coughed, scratching his head sheepishly. Haha! I was still too stunned by everything going on around us. He hurried up, seeing his wife with reddened eyes and a tearful Jirin, and his son Naruto, also gazing at him through tears. Minato's own nose began to sting. He pulled them both into a tight hug. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Naruto, Kushina, I let you suffer. Tears ran freely down his face. Naruto nearly blew a snot bubble, hugging his parents' back, sobbing, Dad, Mom, now we can finally live together forever. No more being apart. He practically shouted that last line, pouring all those years of loneliness and longing into these tears. He hiccuped, hugging his father and mother as if to prove none of this was just a dream. Naruto, my sweet child. Kushina was crying too hard to speak, just nodding while stroking his hair and patting his trembling back. She wanted to give him every ounce of motherly love she'd missed across 17 years, determined never to let go again. Minato wept as well, though he didn't wail as loudly as his wife or son. But his bright blue eyes glistened as he pulled them closer, voice gentle but firm. Naruto, I promise you no one will ever separate us again. Whatever happens, your mother and I will be here to make up for all those lost years. Promise me. Naruto nodded hard, sniffling, don't you dare go back on your word, Dad. That goes for you too, Mom, never leave me again. He forced a wobbly smile, still half crying. All around them, plenty of onlookers teared up at the scene. Hinata clasped her hands over her heart, tears trickling down her cheeks as she smiled. Naruto-kun! I'm so glad, sniff. Overwhelmed, she swayed, almost collapsing, but her sister Hanabi caught her. Calm down, sis. You're too emotional. Still, it's so touching to see Naruto and Ii-san's family back together. After a good while, Minato, Kushina, and Naruto managed to calm themselves slightly. They noticed many familiar faces smiling at them. Kakashi Hatake, with silver hair, gazed at his sensei and sensei's wife, relief on his face. Might Guy stood to one side, wiping tears and muttering, "This is the power of youth." Minato felt profoundly grateful. He realized that THIS precious reunion was only possible thanks to countless efforts, and so he released his family from the hug and stepped forward. Everyone, can you tell us what exactly happened? How are we alive? And what's become of the ninja world now? He had a flood of questions once all the newly resurrected shinobi shared. Senshi paused, then gave Naruto a small nod, wordlessly saying, "You do the explaining." Naruto understood. He straightened up, brushing the last tears from his cheeks, and faced his parents and the entire group of newly revived ninjas. Dad, Mom, and everyone else. Naruto began, clearing his throat. I'm sure you're all confused, so I'll keep this brief. The war is over. Thanks to everyone's efforts and Senshi-sensei's leadership, the ninja world has changed. The old era where villages mistrusted and fought each other is over. We've entered an era of the Shinobi Alliance. He spoke passionately, eyes shining. Under the alliance, the villages don't see each other as enemies anymore. We're united, building a peaceful future. Hearing that, the revived shinobi looked both astonished and delighted. Hashirama murmured excitedly, "A shinobi alliance? Everyone, united? That's even greater than the peace I once imagined." He grabbed Tobirama's arm, shaking him. "Brother, do you see this? Our descendants in Konoha are amazing. They really got every nation to let go of hatred and join forces." Tobirama, too, was visibly amazed, scanning the various headbands from different villages. "Unbelievable! Who would have thought Tobirama Senju, would live to see the 5 great nations stand together?" Minato and Kushina listened intently. Naruto paused for a moment to let everyone process, then continued, "Most importantly, the Alliance has a final goal summiting called the Perfect Ninja World Plan." He spoke with pride and longing. In this perfect world, everyone lost to wars can be resurrected, no one left to suffer grief over losing loved ones. We can all truly reunite and live together again. Silence reigned, you could have heard a pin drop. The newly restored ninjas couldn't believe their ears. Revive everyone? Could that be done? Yet the events before them proved it wasn't mere fantasy. The realization made countless people's hearts pound with hope. Som nearly moved to tears again. Minato muttered, "The perfect ninja world, resurrect everyone. Is that truly possible?" Naruto nodded firmly. "It is. Today is just the first step. More people will come back as time goes on." He cast a glance at Sasuke. "We'll make sure no one is left with regret or forced apart ever again." Those words stirred everyone deeply, triggering thunderous applause. Minato beamed proudly at how confidently Naruto was speaking. He drew Kushina closer, whispering, "Our boy, he's all grown up." Meanwhile, the moment Naruto mentioned Senshi, the man himself felt his system screen sparkle. "With good news. Ding! You've met the requirements for advanced drawl system upgrade will begin System upgrading. System upgrade complete. New feature unlocked, Advanced Draw. Advanced Draw, each poll costs 10,000 employment points, offering prizes like Infinity Stones. Kama, Rinnegan, and Advanced Kekkei Genkai. New feature unlocked, Interdimensional Portal. Interdimensional Portal, each usage costs 10 million employment points enabling travel to other worlds for missions.